So good evening, everybody. Welcome to A Cosmic Cuppa with Jude. And tonight we have a lovely lady called Susan Sage, who we're going to be having a cuppa with this evening. So Susan, how are you, my love?
I'm very well, thank you, Judith. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. It's lovely to have you on board on 5D and beyond. So I'd love to read out your bio, if I may.
Okay, sure.
So Susan says she is a spiritual teacher and professional intuitive who publishes spiritual development courses on Patreon and Insight Timer. She's also a hypnotherapist and creator at Love Being You. She loves to support others to let go of their stuff and access their intuition and eternal nature and to follow their calling. She works internationally with clients via Zoom. And I know that you do a lot more besides, Susan. So I wonder if we could start with what I often ask my guests as a first question is, what was life like for you growing up? And what stands out as important at that time?
When I was growing up,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I wasn't into any of this stuff then, let's put it that way. I was curious about spirit. I was curious about things like astrology. I was curious about ghosts and, stuff like that was kind of interesting. But yeah, my parents were very materialistic, atheist type people. There wasn't any philosophy, there was no religion at all, no real deeper meaning of things, if you know that. No discussion about that or anything like that. It was all very much science, physical, that's it. And so, yeah. So when I did actually come to spirituality, it was actually a bit of a shock because I wasn't in any way, geared for that at all. And so I wasn't like some people who see, spirit next to their bed at night, things like that, that always feel that they have this connection with the other side or a special psychic gift or something like that. I was simply a normal child, growing up in, I don't know, like a normal average family. And then I just got a little bit curious about spirituality and started playing around with a few meditations when I was 19, and had this spontaneous awakening experience in one of the meditations where it felt like a veil was lifted from my awareness, and I was plunged into this oneness experience, which I hadn't felt this lifetime so far. So it was absolutely mind-blowing and absolutely changed the course of my life for like 180 degrees from that point,
Well,
because
could we
yeah
stop there and could you explain, if you will,
yeah
what happened or what was transitioning for you at that time? What
when I
was
had
going
did it.
on for you within that
Okay.
experience?
Yeah, well, it was a kind of a holiday period. So I was in between studies. So it was kind of towards the end of the year. I was going on holiday with my boyfriend, and he was going to do some work up in Nelson. And so off we went up to Nelson. And I don't think I'd ever been to Nelson. I had this kind of feeling like somebody had said, like, quite, I don't know, this mystical feeling. There was a mystical feeling about it for some reason. I just bought my first spiritual book ever. I was taking it up with me to read it while I was there. Um, and yeah, there was kind of a mystical feeling as I was going there. I was just open to new experiences. I had all this time on my hands because he was going to work in the day, and we were camping out the back of a kind of a party flat, really. Like there was just teenagers everywhere, and all in the house, heaps of them staying in there, and then people would pitch tents in the backyard and they were staying there, and we were in one of these tents, and he was going off to work and I was just reading my book, practicing meditation. having a spiritual awakening, as you do. Yeah, so that's kind of, does that answer your question?
Yes. So when you were having this mystical experience, what were the feelings you first noticed with that?
Oh, it felt like coming home. It felt like I'd found something that I didn't remember I'd lost, and it felt familiar. It felt incredibly blissful, safe, just nurturing. It just felt like home. That's the best way to kind of describe it. And I think I kind of thought, wow, this is what I've been looking for all my life, and not realizing it, like, because we look for things, don't we? And we're always searching, if I get this success, I'll finally feel that love I want to feel, or if I have this partner or this whatever, food, even, like anything, we're trying to find something, but all we're really looking for is that remembrance of our true nature, that re-immersion into what we really are, that feeling of oneness. That's because, we're in this realm, aren't we, where we do seem to be separate from everyone and everything else, and we always feel like something's missing, and it's just that it's in. we tend to think we're going to find it out, but it's actually in. And so that was the big realization for me. I was like, oh my God, I've found it. I didn't even know I'd lost it, but here it is. And I'm not letting it go. Like, I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to spirituality somehow. I fully made that decision after that experience, because the feeling was better than anything I'd ever felt, hands down, so far. That this lifetime, that life, so far in this life, and so yeah, and to my bones, I knew the truth in it. Like, it's so hard to describe, as these experiences are,
Yeah,
but
very
it
hard
was
to
just
put into
completely
words.
life-changing. Yeah.
Wow. What was the book you were reading at the time? Do you remember?
Well, yes, I've got it on my shelf still. It's a astrology book. It's a very deep spiritual astrology one called Soul-Centered Astrology by Alan Oken. And but to be honest with you, I think that probably any book would have, well, any book, but any really good spiritual book might have done it to me. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think I was a ticking time bomb, kind of waiting for something. As soon as I got the chance, it's almost like my soul was going to take that opportunity to just, awaken. It was like my whole life I'd been kind of kept safe, I had a very safe, parent. My parents were very stable, and we always had enough money. It was always I didn't have huge hardships growing up or anything like that. It's almost like I was kind of kept in a kind of safe container till I got to this point, and then, right, that's it now. You come, wake up. You've had your fun. Get back on your path. Get back on your calling. Which is, yeah, how it went.
Like, the time is now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Back then, the time is now.
yeah.
Yeah. That's huge. That is a huge and beautiful awakening by the sound of it.
Well, it
And
started off beautiful, but the thing is that I woke up so fast that my whole belief structure pretty much got ripped out of the ground, like, your roots suddenly getting pulled up. Everything that I thought was real, I now realized it wasn't. The fact that you think you're just a physical body unless you've realized that there's something else, so that wasn't true anymore. And then, I'm never going to die, just things like that. And that I realized all this stuff about the world, how it was actually quite corrupt, like all the blinkers came off. It was like I'd been going through life like this, and then all of a sudden I was awake. Obviously not completely. There's still a lot of work to do, but it was really disorientating, because I was around people, teenagers, getting drunk and stoned, basically. And, who do I talk to about this stuff? There was no internet then. I couldn't Google anything. And so I kind of didn't really know what the heck was happening to me. But my boyfriend and I traveled again. We left Nelson after a while. After just a few weeks, really, and we went hitchhiking up to Auckland because we wanted to see a concert up there. And it was on that journey that I started to feel really, really, really scared, to be honest, of all the changes that I'd made in my belief system. And it kind of started to freak me out. And I started to experience anxiety, and I'd have periods of like shaking, and I couldn't eat, and it was awful. And I just didn't know, I didn't have anybody to talk to. Like, I didn't even want to talk to him about how scared I was feeling, because I thought he would dump me, basically. I thought he'd think I was crazy. That was the thing. I was questioning if I was crazy. I was like, what is happening to me? It was so out of the box because I had no exposure to anything spiritual ever. So I just didn't know what was going on with my mind. Um, and so, yeah, but it was really quite scary for a while. And I thought that I had to I thought spirituality had messed me up, and now I had to not touch it again. That was my thinking. I was thinking, I want to go back to being normal. I want to become ignorant again. I just want to put the veil back on. But as you know, that's impossible.
It
Once
doesn't
you've
work that way.
grown, you can't ungrow. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I just went through this limbo land of kind of anxiety and depression. I didn't want spirituality. I didn't want to go into that because I was petrified I was going to freak myself out more. But then again, my old life was so unfulfilling now. Like, I couldn't go out and go drinking like I used to, go in town and go to the nightclubs. It felt so shallow and so empty. And oh my God, because I'd touched this deep, beautiful experience that I was only really wanting to find things that were even somehow closer to that higher spiritual reality, not that real dense vibration. And yeah, so finally I went to see somebody, and after about a year of that agony, or like the dark night of the soul kind of thing, I went to see someone spiritual, and I started going to her spiritual development courses and groups every week. And then I just started flowering into just having so much fun with it, and made all these new friends, and it all just blossomed from there, really, once I had that support network around me. But it's so much easier these days because we have the internet. We have support networks. At the click of a button, you can find people into this, people into that. You can find people who've had similar experiences. But back then I didn't have that. And so it was very quite strange, isolating.
Yeah. And to not have anyone around you that you could talk to is
Yeah.
the isolating when you've had this major change
Yeah.
with very deep insights and feelings and upliftment, and then the crashing because your reality's been blown apart,
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
and having to reframework who you are in the here and now, as well as bringing in more of you, which you are doing with the awakening.
Yeah.
It's quite huge, isn't it? And quite
Yeah.
life-changing, really.
Oh, yeah.
Well done, you. Well done, you.
Well, I had no choice. I mean, I don't know. It just happened. I didn't plan it. As life does, doesn't it? We get led into where we're meant to be, kicking and screaming.
Yeah, we do sometimes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let love write a new story. Love
Mm.
is the key. When did you discover this truth? And how was life unfolding for you to more of who you truly are in your transitioning?
Let love write a new story. Well, I mean, a few years ago, I started studying A Course in Miracles. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one, but such a deeply powerful, powerful trilogy of books. And it was another kind of spiritual awakening time, a real deepening of my understanding of what this is, what this, mind, body, spirit complex, what I really am, how this all works and everything. And so to let love write a new script, I love that. I mean, how I live. And another way I kind of like to talk about it is being a portal for love. So to allow, rather than the personal self really being the thing that is writing the script of the moment, which the personal self will only write the past onto the present, because the personal self, meaning, the ego structure, or it's all of our files that we've kept from all the things that have happened and all the, labels and all of that stuff. It's all stored in there, isn't it? And if we're operating from that self, we're really only regenerating the past again and again, similar experiences again and again. But when we start to realize that there is this deeper aspect to ourselves that is absolutely connected, like I felt in that very first meditation, that oneness, that there is this larger self that is not a personal self, like this larger self, which a lot of you guys would have dipped into, in your own meditations when you get really transcendent, when you kind of sit there and you ask, who's here? Who's really here? And you start to get that transcendent feeling, when you're in the silence and you just kind of know, and there's this presence, and that presence that we feel through ourselves, it's not a personal thing. It's not a one person there. It's like a oneness energy that we are all part of, right? And that oneness energy, I would call, one name for it would be love. And that kind of oneness energy, it has kind of the higher plan. It knows so much more about everything than our little personal self could ever understand. It's like, to make decisions from the personal self, it's okay, yeah, but we could make much more powerful, potent decisions, stepping the personal self over to the side and letting love come in. So a lot of the work that I do is helping people to let go of the old scripts, the old traumas and things that are writing the script of their life unconsciously, and allowing that to move aside and to let love come in and write a new way of thinking about that, or a new way of understanding that. And that's I don't know if that answered all your questions there, but
Beautiful. That's beautifully said. And that opens a whole world of possibilities, really, because
yeah.
Love is the key, and love is all it is on so many levels. We are all made of love. We are part of love. We can hide under our veils until we allow more of love in. And
Yeah.
as you say, it's not just a personal love. It is so much more than that.
Yeah.
It's all empowering, embracing, ever unfolding. And to get answers from that place is so much more powerful and available.
Yeah.
If we listen. And they talk about the still small voice within. And if we listen to that, and I know at times I have not listened to that to my detriment.
Yeah.
Because I'm human and I want to do it anyway. And after I shouldn't have done that. I knew I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Could you please talk about your role of spiritual teacher and professional intuitive at Insight Timer, where you offer spiritual development courses, which sound wonderful, meditations, and personal support. So what is Insight Timer?
Insight Timer is the world's largest meditation app. So it has, what is it, like 17 million people? Is it that many using it? I think. Don't quote me on that, but a lot of people are on there, and there's a lot of teachers on there as well that offer courses and post meditations on there, and you can also go live on there, and you can either use the app as a free user. There's heaps of stuff you can do on there for free, but you can pay as well. And then if you pay, it's about $100 NZ a year, I think, and you get access to everything, all the courses and all of that. And it's brilliant. So the way that I kind of naturally work is that I study a lot of spiritual stuff like Course in Miracles and anything I can get my hands on, basically. And then I really use it to transform, and I get all the insights, and I really melt into it and understand it as deeply as I can, and then I share about it. So then I'll tell people about what I've learned and fill in bits, and I kind of start creating courses. It's like, I don't know why, but that's just the way I work. I read something, or I understand something, I have some big transformations, and then I just want to make them into a course. And I've been doing that for years. And I started just putting them on Patreon, which is a subscriber only thing. So I was just basically uploading a podcast and a meditation every week on there to a small little group of subscribers. And then I thought, I'm just going to chuck some of this on Insight Timer and see what happens. And that was at the start of last year, 2023. I put my first course on there, and it's gone really well. So that first course now has over 3,000 students in it, and I've got a couple of other courses on there that have over 2,000, and there's a few others that have a bit less than that. But it's just so amazing. The community on there is really open, really receptive. And I go live on there as well. So on those lives, that's where the professional intuitive thing kind of comes in. I do readings for people on there on the live platform, and yeah. So I suppose with the intuitive thing too, I started developing that not long after I had that awakening experience. I learned to channel was one of the first things, and it's been something I've always gone back to, and I've kind of developed this course, which I've been teaching for, I don't know, about 10 years now, teaching people to channel. So that's one of the other big things I do. So yeah, I'm really passionate about that, because it's, as we were talking about before, there is this larger view always. And it's just really about shifting consciousness to be able to open into that other self, or the higher self, if you like, or the larger self, to access what is there. And it's kind of like the 3D, 4D, 5D thing, from the 3D point of view. When you've got that headset on, you really can only see the physical, the problems, the limitations, you feel separate. There's no access to that higher reality from that place. But when we come to the heart, which is obviously the 4D, that's where it's all happening. So, it's all there, but we've just got to make the shift into, and then we pop the 4D headset on by coming into heart consciousness. Suddenly now I can see this, suddenly now I know that, because it's the state of consciousness that we're in. And it's so simple, really, and what it is, but people find it hard, I think, to, there's a big resistance, I think, to shifting. Like you look at it and how people are so hopeless sometimes at being consistent about their meditation practice. They're like, they say they want to do it, but then when it comes to the time, they're like, oh, just have a cup of tea, or, oh, no, I can't do it now because I've just eaten, or, like, oh, I need to take the dog for a walk. Oh, just do the washing. Oh, now I can't do it because now I've got to go meet my friend, and we just put it off. And, it's like, what is that? It's that resistance to shifting vibration, because that's what happens in meditation, doesn't it? But that shifting in vibration is the very thing that we need, to access the solutions and to see a wider view. All the things we want, basically.
And I think it's getting out of what I call the monkey mind. So it's quietening that mind to be in the stillness where all is present.
Yeah.
And all answers are.
Yeah.
How do you see that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely one way of doing it. There's also many really good guided meditations that you can do that you don't have to necessarily sit in the stillness, but to just shift state, meaning instead of feeling a bit kind of yucky and a bit low, that you now feel grateful, for example, and appreciative and joyful and liberated, and like you can breathe, and there's a sense of freedom. If you're up in those vibrations, the answers just seem obvious from that place. So yeah, if we want, I kind of like to say, like, the heart is always the portal, to that higher guidance and things. And because the heart is it's like having the Wi-Fi on. This is the connector point. So if this isn't open, we can't find any information. We're only going around and around in our own programs. Just like if you don't have the internet on your computer, you're not going to be able to do a Google search, right? It's the same thing. We've got to turn the Wi-Fi on, which is the heart, if we want to reach the larger self, because that's its doorway in. And for a very good reason, the heart opens up all the other chakras on top of it. Without an open heart, these ones don't really work at all. This is the key, and it's not a hierarchy like the crown is the top and whatever. It's more that the heart is the one that kind of brings it all together and activates those higher chakras, so that we can, have all these insights and amazing experiences and wisdom coming through, and guidance about our lives and for other people or whatever we're trying to do.
I think you're
Yeah.
quite right that the way out is within, and it all
Yeah.
is with the heart. They talk about the sacred space of the heart, the tiny space of the heart where magic can happen, that
Yeah.
opens up to more that is.
Absolutely.
It's like tuning a radio dial in the old sense, when you
Yeah.
had dials on radios. So you could tune it to the different frequencies. So bringing in more frequencies allows us to be aware of more, to have more consciousness within our field and bring more into our field to experience. And I think that's really beautiful. And I think it is the way forward, is to bring in as much consciousness as we can safely hold.
Yeah.
To know, be more, see more, hear more, do more, and connect more with the higher realms.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's the evolution of consciousness, isn't it? It's moving up. I mean, that's what we're doing, aren't we? We're gradually coming up to the heart, en masse. It may not seem that way sometimes,
And
but we are getting there, though. I mean, the thing is that you don't see it in the media. You don't see, the media doesn't show you images of awakening, of spiritual awakenings. Like I always think, like through COVID and all that horror, that all we saw was the horror, and probably it was exaggerated as well, to just perpetuate more fear. But what about the spiritual awakenings that happened through that time? Because damn, there were so many, people having to stay home and not having to go to work, and all of the realizations, I don't even want to do that job. Like, what am I doing with my life? All of the awakenings that went on, and all the kind of so-called terrible experiences that people went through, but how that woke them up. That's the other side of the story that the media doesn't show or talk about. And it's there. We
yes,
know it, right? But
I think you're quite right. There has been a huge awakening on so many levels through these last 4 years for a lot of, and that's a beautiful thing, through all the shifts and the crushing of the coal to become the diamond. It all happened through trauma, sadly, but that seems to be how it works. But yes, a lot of awakenings on so many levels, a lot of new friendships formed, so much in the way of love connecting.
Yeah.
This beautiful love frequency connecting and joining collectively, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And yes, you're quite right. The mainstream does not show that, but boy, is it a movement, and it is happening, and it is wonderful. Would you like to talk about some of the insights, if you will, please, that some of your clients have gained through some of those processes?
Well, gosh, which ones? I have this course at the moment on Insight Timer. It's on Patreon as well, and it's called Release and Transform Your Stuff into Love. So it's really about letting go of your stuff, basically. And just in the last kind of month or 6 weeks, it's just shot up in the amount of students that it's had. It's really interesting, actually, because for a while it kind of didn't really do all that much. And then all of a sudden it just went, so it's all these people coming on there because they're dedicated to letting go of their density, the triggers that come up for them in their everyday life, and then the kind of everyday suffering that they're living, and they're open to actually looking at that, not just avoiding it. And as we kind of do if we're not educated or motivated about it in just everyday terms. There must have been, I don't know, this resurgence and people just being willing to do the work on themselves to look at their stuff, if you like. And I get some beautiful sharings through that course, and the things that they're realizing about themselves, and they're realizing that they've held these long-term patterns of just dysfunctional beliefs and stuff like that, and that they're now realizing they can let this go, and yeah, all these beautiful things evolving. I'm just trying to think of one specific person. But yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I constantly am getting these lovely lovely comments and sharings from people, just working on themselves, really.
That's beautiful.
And
That's
bringing
good to hear.
themselves, letting love write the script. That course
Yeah.
really is about letting go of that crap and letting love come in and change it, and upgrade it basically to something that feels loving and light.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Because I think too, when you hear those comments, you know that you're on the right path. I mean, I'm sure you do anyway, but to have that confirmation is wonderful from people that are gaining so much from what you're giving. So that's a lovely thing.
It's beautiful. It really is. And it's really humbling, because ultimately it's not, I'm not owning. I mean, I own that I put all these things together in a certain way. They're a program that somebody can follow and they can learn, but I'm really just taking universal wisdom that's everyone's. I'm not claiming that that's mine, and I'm kind of just putting it in a format that people can access, because if you read A Course in Miracles, I don't know if anybody here has tried to read that. It is very difficult to read.
I haven't read all of it. It's a blooming thick book, isn't it?
It's so thick. I listened to it on Audible, and it's 36 hours long to listen to the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah, on Audible, the book platform, Audible audiobook. But yeah, so I like to kind of decipher the deeper meanings and really intense texts like that, and then bring it out in a way that's just everyday language, everyday situations that are relatable, that people can actually grasp, rather than, because it's very lofty, and it's meant to be so that it's understandable at any age. It's a timeless book, so it's not giving examples about this day and age. It's written in a way that at any age you can get the meaning of it.
Yeah, fantastic. We know the conscious mind is often controlled by subconscious programming.
Yeah.
With both positive and negative feedback in life, a wee bit about what we have been discussing. Can we discuss the benefits of hypnotherapy, where blocks, insecurities, anxiety, and old habits can be released?
Yeah, I mean, totally. It's, I guess, the hypnotherapy thing. So I guess I don't really work as a traditional hypnotherapist now. It's more just guided meditations, which are pretty similar, to be honest. I mean, hypnotherapy really is a guided meditation, but some hypnotherapists use, things which can be kind of different, I suppose, in a way. But yeah, so I think that the key, honestly, if I'm merging hypnotherapy and spirituality, and what I've kind of realized about the both, and about letting go of old traumas and old patterns and things, it's really understanding that I'm not that old pattern. Because when we've lived something for so long, we've made an identity out of it, haven't we? We're now saying, I am a victim of child abuse, let's say, for example. I am a victim of child abuse. We're identifying with it. And if you're going to identify with all the feelings associated with that, it's very hard to find the space to let them move, you know. And so I think the key to really being able to liberate yourself from all these old patterns and things is to find the you that is eternally existing beyond your ego self, you know, that we talked about earlier, that impersonal, loving oneness energy that is animating all of us, you know, like Eckhart Tolle would say, you know, the stillness, the presence in you is the same presence that it is in the plant, in the tree, and the star in the sky. It's the same life force, you know. You can look at it that way if it helps. But when you realize that what you are is not this structure and all the things you've lived and all the feelings and all of that, then you can find some space between you and what that thing is. So let's say it's anger. Instead of saying, I'm angry, which is me, I'm identifying with anger at that point, saying, I feel anger in my experience. I'm noticing anger is there, but I know that that's not what I really am. But this is definitely an experience I'm having. It's moving through my awareness, but there's space between me and that feeling. And do I want that feeling, or do I want love? And if I would rather have love, which no brainer, right? Then I'm willing to let that go. And then we can allow, by just relaxation, by really letting go and surrendering and letting that feeling move is one way of doing it, to allow the anger to pass, leaving a vacuum for love to come in and take its place. And the thing is that's spontaneous, because the ego will want to grab onto that and go, okay, I'm going to let go of this anger. And then when I've let go of the anger, then love's going to come in and it's going to write a script that's going to sound like this. And you know, and we try and control it, micromanage it. But when you let go of something, you let go. That means there's no control. That means you are giving over to a higher energy to come in and upgrade or you know, transform, transcend, to write something new. And it's always new, it's always spontaneous, and it's beautiful. And I think we get so scared of doing these kinds of things because we want to be safe primarily, and we like the familiar, even if the familiar hurts us often. And so we want to hold on to sometimes to those old patterns because we don't know what it would be like on the other side. And that's actually scarier than actually just having what we know and is familiar. But when you actually decide to let go of something that's burdening you, and you fully mean it, and you're 100% willing to do it, and you go through the process, oh my gosh, it will be always a million times better when love comes in. Like, there's absolutely no doubt. Love is always better, isn't it, than that experience of whatever it was, that trauma going around and around. So I like to guide people to get a bit transcendent and to just release the grip on these things and find the willingness to move them through. And yeah, that's one of the ways that I do it anyway. So
Beautiful.
yeah, that
That's
answers
absolutely beautiful. Absolutely has. You said that so beautifully. The real gems that you have said within that, absolutely gorgeous. You know, for some people going through these processes of deep relaxation, of meditation, of hypnotherapy, all of these mind soul sciences, some people have only ever experienced awake, asleep, and daydream, and they've
yeah.
experienced that beautiful deep state until they allow the letting go, to let that extraordinary space come in, the love come in, to feel more than they've ever felt before, maybe more relaxed than they've ever felt before, to feel more who they truly are than they ever have before, because ego's out the door. They're in a whole different brainwave space than they have been maybe their whole lives. And it's a beautiful thing to see, and to see the transition with people. I just love that.
Isn't it amazing?
Yes.
So amazing. Yeah.
It is amazing.
Yeah. And to be able to guide someone to that is truly such a honor.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's a magical space. It's creating magic.
Mm-hmm.
You speak about the mass consciousness of the world
Mm-hmm.
and our own problems that would pull us down into negativity and limitation again and again. When we focus on what is wrong, we bring up more of that energy that is being fed into it.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the frame of mind that is receptive to miracles in a way that which we've just been talking about.
Yeah.
When we let the light in, we feel better. When we focus on beauty, joy, happiness, there is a switch to a higher frequency, again, what we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak a bit more about these truths, please? Because they are
Definitely.
simple.
So, I mean, the way that I like to look at it is that there's always a miracle right next to you in every moment, but it's just whether you're available for it or not, whether you're in that state of consciousness where you're allowing it in, or whether you're focusing in a way that is blocking it out, because all those lower vibrations, fear, anger, whatever, you just can't access those high vibrations. When you're in fear, they cancel each other out. You can't feel love when you're scared. You can't mix the two. So I like to look at it that there is always this current of well-being, like flowing through every living thing. It's our birthright to be in this flow of well-being, abundance, health, vitality. It's kind of our natural state. It's another way I like to describe it is like the divine organizing mechanism of the universe. Like if you look at a nature landscape where it's just been left alone, it will come into its own flourishing, won't it? There's an intelligence in nature that just brings things into order. And nothing's there with a clipboard going, right, trees, you better grow like that and drop your leaves in that area so it fertilizes the soil there. And then I want the worms to do a bit of something there. And, there's an intelligence above and beyond the human, our kind of intelligence that is grander, but it's different. And it can make things happen. But see, nature can't say no to it. Nature doesn't have the same kind of mind that we do, where we can go, no, I want to feel like shit today. I'm going to focus on anger because I'm actually really resentful at my boss for, la, la, la. And when we're in that energy, we feel all righteous and everything. But what we're actually doing is blocking out this divine organizing mechanism that goes into nature and creates ecosystems. That same energy wants to come into our lives and create flourishing and abundance and health and whatever. So we've got to notice, what am I doing that's blocking that? What am I doing that's pinching myself off? What am I thinking? What am I believing that's pinching off that well-being from being able to just generally flow into my life? And so, we just need to look at what are our negative thought patterns again. And by bringing ourselves into a state of allowing, and that would be different for everybody depending on what they're going through, the specifics of their situation, but it's really just upgrading the way you're thinking about it, so that you're more aligned with the energy that you want to come in, rather than really harshly opposing it with your fears and your doubts. It's softening all of that, finding a feeling of a deeper connection to the universe, feeling your safety in the whole universe is something that I really love to practice, like feeling that oneness that's within all of us. That's where I go for my safety, rather than trying to get it in my bank account or whatever. My safety is in knowing I am an eternal essence and nothing can damage what I really am. Yeah, this body is a temporary experience and it's got a shelf life, but the true me doesn't ever. It's completely free, completely limitless. So what have I got to worry about, really? And if we can come back to that frame of mind, we can just start letting go of the ridiculousness of some of our issues and, the things we're worried about. Raise ourselves up a little bit. Remember that there is always a solution. Guidance is always available. And if I open my heart and I remember how safe I am and how loved I am, then, we're starting to let it flow. then things are going to start to come in. And that's when you start to remember, oh, I actually stashed that money in the bottom of my drawer 5 years ago. I totally forgot about that, Like you can't remember that when you're all gritty down in fear and anger and worried about how you're going to pay your bills or whatever. You're never going to remember that somebody offered you a job last month and what, like those things aren't accessible to your mind. But when you start opening up, relaxing, remember how connected you are and up into the higher dimensions, and all of a sudden there's this stream of guidance, there's a stream of miracles that can, and they always want to come in. In A Course in Miracles, it talks about that the miracles they're ordinary, they're natural, they are what should be. But we pinch them off, as I said. And that's the unnatural thing that we need to notice that we're doing to allow that flow. Yeah. So
that's beautiful. And I think that is the way through what we're all going through right now, to know that we are immeasurably amazing beings. We've been called the masters of limitation because we're in a 3D matrix going into 4-5, where things have been extremely difficult for the majority to be free.
Yeah.
But within knowing that we already are free, we already are these amazing beings, these souls that hold so much love and light, and knowing that we can have that expansion of awareness, that is the way through, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Because
that's the key.
Then delving, then delving on the dark, and yes, it's good to know what's going on, but not good to be absorbed by that.
Yeah, 100%.
Good to know it, but then what I say is you shelve it and you get on with your life the best way you know how, to bring in more joy and surprise and spontaneity and happiness.
Yes.
That's the key. That is the way forward.
It is. That's the raising of the vibration of, the mass consciousness for all of us and lifting us to those higher states of consciousness, which will shift us out of this gritty kind of experience. But, there is this matrix, as you say, going on the planet, and we, in some senses, are being kind of held back from this amazing evolution, or just this, there's so many things, like so many inventions, so many different things that we, in different ways, we could be living, but it is being held back, isn't it, by this, what you call matrix. But we've got to see also, like, how corruptible we are. Like we've got the so-called corruptors, the ones that are making all these decisions and maybe holding us too much power and things like that. But then we've got to see how we allow ourselves to be corrupted and stop doing that, to really stand up for our values, our integrity, our soul more, and what I mean by that is, like, if somebody says to you, I'll give you $2 million if you shut up about that, most people will say, yeah, okay, cool, thanks. But we've got to be that person that says, no, I don't want the money, because it's actually more important to me to be in joy, to be in sync with my spirit, to be in my integrity, to be living my dharma, my purpose. I am not selling that for nothing. We need to be that way. When more of us are like that, and we're not selling our souls for this money thing that has hooked our consciousness, that we getting sucked into, that I should be living this lifestyle, I should have this much money, this is the glamorous whole thing that we seem to get sucked into. But we need to realize that is an illusion, that you can have as much money as you want and there's no fulfillment, as we were talking about earlier, Judith, about Shirley MacLaine, who had everything materially and was still feeling that something was missing. That something is our dharma, it's the soul, it's following that life purpose and not being corruptible anymore. If you imagine a whole blooming population of people doing that, well, it will be a very different world, wouldn't it? And there would be those ones that are having the power now wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
Exactly. Could you talk about your spiritual events, please? You've touched on some of them and the retreats you have on offer. I love that you talk about Soul Circle, where support and clarity from the higher dimensions are gleaned. Sounds
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. So as part of the Patreon platform that I run, I do a monthly soul circle, which is open to the public, and the people on Patreon come along, but other people come along too. And I just do it on a different theme every month. So this Saturday's one is just going to be, I'm just going to be guiding people into a kind of an altered state of consciousness, just a relaxed, open state where they are allowing in guidance, clarity, or just love, healing, whatever it might be from the higher dimensions, whatever wants to come, really. It will be different for everybody. It's kind of similar to what we were just talking about being in the state where you can allow the miracles in. It's kind of that, really. I just want to guide people into a really beautiful relaxation, healing space where they can just allow whatever unfolds to come, to be perfect, to be what it is. And obviously it'll be sharing and connecting with each other and talking about things as well. And then I usually do a little channeled message for everybody at the end, a personal one to each person. But yeah, so I do that once a month, and every month, as I said, it's on a different kind of a topic, and it's just a nice way to support people and build community and just provide something uplifting for people's soul, whoever needs it, whoever's feeling drawn to it that month comes along.
Lovely. That's lovely.
Yeah,
When
but I haven't got any retreats planned at the moment. I did run one a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago or so, but yeah, no, I haven't got any in the pipeline, but you never know.
You never know what's in space.
Yeah.
You feel connected, loved, and peaceful inside. All the answers are obvious. You are the creator at love being you. Could you talk about this aspect of your passion to help others?
Well, the love being you thing is just a little tagline I kind of put onto my name at some point, but I'm kind of dropping that now and just kind of being Susan Sage. But I do have a love being you Facebook page, which is kind of one of my business pages. So if you did search me, you'd probably find me there. But yeah, I love that quote that you just said before that, which is that from a peaceful, connected frame of mind, all the answers are obvious. And that's just exactly what we've been talking about so much tonight, is that when you just allow yourself to dip into inner peace, it's all there. And in fact, coming back to Course in Miracles again, that's what they say in that book, is that peace and understanding go absolutely hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. You cannot have understanding until you've brought yourself into a state of peace. There's no understanding when you're in afraid, fearful, or lacking, or whatever state. That is not there. That doesn't go with understanding. So if you want understanding, it's and the answers, you're not going to find them until you can relax out of the turmoil of what you're feeling and dip into that safety and peace of knowing your eternal nature. And then the understanding is there. Once you've found that vibration again, it's part and parcel of that. So it's a really important thing to remember, I think, because sometimes we're trying to find the solutions from just the state of consciousness that created the problem. We're banging our heads against the wall, trying to find a solution from the yucky energy that created the problem in the first place, and it just doesn't work. Yeah.
No, we've got to go deeper. Got to go much deeper to get to the guts of it, don't we?
Yeah.
We're connected beyond belief.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time to make use of all the love seeking to find its way into our lives and bring that love through the world. This is thriving. Whenever you are stressing out, it's because you have forgotten you have angels. These are your words, my lovely. Can we talk about the angelic realm, how they protect and guide our lives, especially when we ask for help?
Well, I'm not specifically tuned in to the angelic realm. I understand, and I've worked with them, and I do, use them every now and then. And I went through a phase of channeling Archangel Michael, actually, for quite a long time. And I had this woman say to me, that one of my clients was telling me the other day about this concept called the unemployed angels. This idea that there's all these angels hanging around us, like, come on, who's going to employ me? I'm bored, because humans are not using them. We have all of these helpers around us that we are not putting to work. They want to help us. And and another thing I like to say too is that when you're stressed out, you've forgotten that you have angels. That's the thing, that the state of stress is a state of I'm separate. It's all on my shoulders. I've got to do it all. I'm the one responsible here. And it's a burden, and that whole stressful state. But wake up. You have angels, my friend, delegate, open to the higher dimensions. I mean, God, there's so much help there. But this is another way that we pinch that off when we go into that whole energy of, I've got to do it myself. This is one of the biggest illusions, because we are not separate. We are. It looks like we are. You look at the body and you think, yeah, you're definitely over there and I'm over here. But the energy, we've got to look deeper than that. The energy, the life force, the oneness that is, animating all of our bodies is the same thing. We're all this connected energy. But we get so closed off into that mindset where we block it out. So yeah, the angels, I mean, I don't know. I don't have too much to say about that. Just that, use them. Just use them. Whichever one you want. Whichever one comes, it doesn't matter. And it really doesn't matter, It's the fact that you're willing to have that interaction and to use them and let miracles be open to miracles coming
Absolutely.
in.
There've been some remarkable stories where it appears that angels have picked someone up in an amazing or a major accident about to happen, maybe a car accident, and these people have been moved miraculously out of the way or out of the car. They find themselves at the side of the road instead of in the car, that type of thing.
Yeah.
You could say that's angelic help.
Yes.
Whenever I go somewhere and I need a car park, I ask my car angel, please
I
get
do
me
that.
and I get one every time. And I've obviously come when I've got my lovely park. But
and do you know what I do as well sometimes is when I've parked and I haven't paid for the meter, and I've left it somewhere in a paid thing, I put a cone of light around it. So I imagine that there's a cone of light coming down from the sky, and it's surrounding my car and just making it invisible to any any parking meter. And to this day, it's worked every single time. So,
well, there we go. Oh, that's lovely. Divine trust is being in the world, but not of it. It's actively engaging in all the events of our lives, but not allowing them to knock us off our orbit. When we can tune in to the higher reason for all things, the higher order plays out in our lives. All the invitations for deeper growth and empowerment come. We feel safe at home knowing it's all happening for us. Can we talk releasing fear and learning to assimilate divine trust in our lives?
Absolutely. Gosh, you've really pulled out some, I don't know where you found all these quotes of mine.
Some are yours, some are not.
So it's really important. And I think especially with health issues sometimes, this with everything, but I find that people get really stuck, with the live stuff that I do in Insight Time. I get a lot of people coming who have long-standing health issues, and they're in the mix of that, and they find it very hard because, as we were talking about earlier, when you want to let go of something, you've got to kind of find your the distance between you and that thing. You've got to realize, well, that's not really me. Well, when there's a long-standing health issue, that person's become so identified with the issue. It's part of them now. And to find space between that and them is very hard. It's very intertwined in their unconscious. And one of the ways that we can start to kind of generate more space or more acceptance or more healing in that area is to understand that there is always a deeper reason, for everything happening. And as that quote said, it's all happening for us. From the 3D perspective, it does not look that way, does it? It looks like, life hates me. Why did this happen? All these travesties going on, and we can feel very victimized. But that's just how it is from that lower state of consciousness. It's obviously not very empowering, but if we want to actually find peace, we're going to have to realize that whatever is showing up in our life is always timely. It's always there because it's teaching us something. It's showing us something, and there's a reason for it, always. And we've got to, especially I find with health issues, there's always a reason. I just find it's helpful for people in those situations to realize there is a reason for this. It's actually trying to show me something. It's trying to develop something in me, whether that's patience, whether that's acceptance, or there's something that it's, impacting me to grow. It's pointing out where I'm stuck. And if we would just listen, we would receive so much more. We would understand, oh, okay, I know I'm keep generating this health issue because I've got this real fear of security, for example, or there's obviously many different things that it could be, but it's that higher understanding that this is happening for me, and therefore everything's okay, because we tend to feel scared that this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, but if we know that everything only happens for us because it's for the best, because ultimately it's trying to teach us where our next little bit of growth is, then we can relax, right? And it's okay, because no matter what happens, I'm safe. I'm going to have the ability to meet this, and I trust it's always going to be teaching me something so beautiful. So let's go. We can get our hands dirty. We can get into it. People are so scared of having relationships often. I've met or have quite a few women in my life who haven't been in a relationship for a very, very, very long time, and they ultimately are just probably scared of recreating the same thing that happened in the past. But when you realize that you can deal with anything that happens, you can process through it, you can understand the higher meaning for it, you can receive what it's trying to teach you, and then you can learn it. You can let go of what you need to, you can work through things. When you've got that connection with yourself and that functional way of meeting life, then I think it just makes us so resilient. We can get into it. There's no fear. It's all perfect, and we're safe.
That's fantastic. It's certainly a huge learning curve, isn't it? On every level. Like you're saying that a lot of people, why me? Why now?
Yeah.
Why did this have to happen to me? What am I going to do next? All of the what ifs and buts that come up. But to step back and think, how can I navigate through this? How can this be better? If I ask for joy and surprise and happiness and wisdom and all these things, what could come of that? And if you put those frequencies out, they're the boomerang frequencies that are going to come back in and give a better way, an answer that could lead you in a totally different direction from where you would have been before in your old groove.
Yeah.
So life is certainly interesting.
Speaking
of that, my next sentence is the destination of life is this eternal moment. Can you speak about our calling in life? We're believed in and acted upon long enough is like a beautiful river. Could you spoke about this river? I really love it. Would you like to talk about that, please?
Okay. So I want to talk about the calling part. I don't know how that relates to the river, but the calling thing, that we have a calling, that was the first thing you said, right?
Yes.
So I mean, this is one of my most favorite topics, because when I had that spiritual awakening experience, what got activated in me was a calling. I hadn't felt that before. This calling to come home. I mean, I just had this re-immersion into home, if you like. So now I'm called. I'm going back there. It's where I'm going. And I think that we come into this 3D realm, and we go through all these experiences, and we try it on, we try everything out, we try getting this, and we try having these relationships, and we give it all a go. But eventually we get to a point where we say, oh, there must be something else. Like, there must be, this isn't it. Like, there's something missing. There's something, and we start questioning, and we start searching. And it's kind of at that point, I think, when we start getting called. So it's like, we've always been called. It's described this way in A Course in Miracles. There's no one who's chosen over anybody else. God, if you like, is always calling, but it's you who choose. And it's when we've realized that we've had, actually, none of this stuff here is fulfilling me. Like, I've done this, I've done that, I've tried this, I've tried that. I always end up back here feeling crappy. Why? Where is the real fulfillment? And when we get to that place, we're open now, and we start to choose that higher path. And that's when we get on to this kind of calling that starts bringing us into our expansion, into our dharma, into what it is that or into our authenticity. We start breaking away the layers of just people pleasing, or selling our soul to get something. Like, all of the things that were kind of out of alignment with love, that weren't feeling that good, but we were kind of just clinging on to them. All these layers start disappearing, and then eventually we find ourselves in an authentic energy where we're just able to shine. I love what you said about the eternal moment. What was the first part of that quote that you just said before?
The destination of life is this eternal moment.
Yeah, exactly. Being completely in alignment with this eternal moment, with no baggage, with none of that ego stuff, none of that. That really is it. It's. I mean, geez, it's probably quite far away, maybe, for a lot of, but we get glimpses of it, right? Don't we? But yeah, our calling is really taking us in that direction, and it's something that, you guys probably feel it in your own ways. It's like, if you don't follow it or keep up with it, you start feeling really out of sorts. That's certainly how it is for me. If I don't keep moving, keep expanding, keep going on that expansion pathway, I just don't feel right, and it really affects me. And so it's really interesting. I love talking about it, and it takes us away from that whole life that a lot of people are living, but really hating living, which is, living maybe in the corporate world, where they really don't feel that they're in alignment with what's going on, and they don't really want to be there, but they're so scared of losing that good paycheck. They don't know what it would be like otherwise. There's a lot of people in that trap, and I think, one of the reasons I feel I'm here in this lifetime is to help people slowly disentangle from that, or to find or feel more and more authentic within themselves, and especially to shift their sense of security from that paycheck to that feeling of, I'm totally safe because I know what I am in this moment is eternal, and it actually doesn't matter. And that doesn't mean that things don't matter, that I'm not going to just quit my job cold turkey and be broke, and I'm not going to go jump off a cliff because I'm eternal and it doesn't matter. Obviously that's ridiculous, but slowly, if we soften into deeper trust, we can let go of those old ways that weren't serving us, and again, if we stop being corruptible and selling out for those glamorous like illusions that we thought were going to make us happy, and start focusing on what really does make us happy, which is connection, fulfillment, living your purpose, being authentic, being generous, having fun, being joyful. Did I say that already? Like all of that stuff is the real abundance that we're really all wanting and seeking. It's not really in the money, and money, yes, it's part of it, but it's not the only thing, and I think we all need to slowly start realizing that. Wouldn't it be amazing if the
Yes,
world was like that, not
yes, absolutely. And I
yeah.
think one of the words that stood out to me at the latter part of you talking was
Mm.
authenticity.
Yeah.
To be our authentic self
Mm.
means ego's out the door.
Yeah.
We're being real. We're being
Yeah.
vulnerable, but within
Yeah.
that vulnerability is that beautiful strength
Mm.
to be so authentic that you can be who you really are.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Feel that way with other people is even better. And I know we can all put up the scaffolding with different people,
Yeah.
for protection and all that stuff, and with some people, rightly so. But to feel that you can be so authentic in every moment, that's something to attain to, isn't it?
Oh, yes. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Because you're
fear,
being
no
real.
defenses, being defenseless because your true safety is guaranteed. There's
Yes.
nothing to defend against, It's really only the ego that does the defending because it's trying to keep itself, alive. But the soul, the spirit, the eternal us, what's it got to prove? What's it got to defend? It's already everything. It's already completely full. It's already completely limitless. It's already completely one. It's got yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
I'm enjoying this. How do you see our reality unfolding? And do you have any insights as how to best navigate through these times?
Well, I see our reality unfolding. I guess the way that I see it is just slowly more and more people becoming empowered and sovereign, really. Sovereign really is the key, where we know we're sovereign unto ourselves and we're our own creator. We're our own, not we're our own creator because we are linked with everything, but what I mean is we're not, we're sovereign to our own experience. So whatever I'm experiencing is because of what I'm doing internally. I'm generating my own experience of reality through my thoughts, beliefs, my perception, my focus. And when we really get that, and a lot of us get that to some degree, when we really get that, we become sovereign, we become authentic, we become uncorruptible, because we know that we've got the ability. Like for example, if I'm really sovereign and I realize I've got cancer in my breast, let's say, I thought that happened to me not long ago. I got called back for a mammogram, a second mammogram, and I was freaking out because I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to get my breast cut off. And, I was thinking, I'm going to have cancer. And I've really had to face a lot of fears in that situation. But what it really brought me to, and I went through a big process of letting go of that fear, is that I just really didn't want to go to that professional, that powerful doctor, with his uniform and all his little equipment and everything, for him to say to me, your body has this, and therefore you have to do X, Y, and Z, and that they kind of want to take over the health of your body, and that was more frightening for me than actually just having cancer. Because if I did have cancer in my breast, let's say, then I know that I've created that through a kind of wacky focusing in some way, somehow. And because I created that, well, I can sort that out. That's a conversation between me and God. I'm not going to put my body over to someone else to deal with that. And again, I'm not saying that that isn't a wise thing to do in every circumstance, because there's different circumstances, but that's just where I was at with it. And so I'm sovereign to my body because I understand that my body is like a learning device for my mind. So whatever my mind is doing will be reflected in my body. You can clearly see this. If you have a thought about a fearful thought, what happens to your body? It's instantly generated. And so if I've been thinking a certain way chronically, it's been doing something to my body all that time. Of course, there's going to be an effect there. And it's just going to take some time to come back and rewire that and do something different here. So yeah, I think that eventually we are slowly growing to become sovereign like that. And also it's a heart awakening. It's a oneness awakening. It's a spiritual awakening, isn't it? That's happening on this planet.
Yeah.
And moving into the heart realm, into the heart energies. And when we are, honestly, when we are sovereign and our heart is open, we are going to be such a powerful freaking population that it's going to be so completely different. We will not accept things the way they are at the moment. And, another thing that is going to happen most likely is contact from our space brothers and sisters, which will probably, I hope anyway, happen that, obviously they've been contacting us for a very long time, haven't they? But it's all been kept under wraps. But honestly, like one of the things I think about, if we just knew about them and about, like what they could say and what, their technology, and if we just knew and weren't kept in the dark en masse about their existence, it would change so much here, because we would really see then how manipulated we've been in terms of all of this, so many secrets, and we've all just, like you said before, the matrix has all been put in place to keep us at this stage of evolution, just kind of try and put the helmet on. Don't wake up.
Really interesting, because a lot of these beings have come to the average man and woman because they know they can't go to top officials because it won't come out. And I think those that have had experiences, if they're being authentic, would not deny their own experience. And I think more people are waking up to the idea now, some through media and word of mouth, all sorts of ways, that there is more going on than what a lot of people realize. It's daring to lift that square box, the lid off the box, and not only peek outside, but move outside that square box and really be more immersive in more that is.
Yeah.
Because we're going to learn so much from them and them from us. Collaborate together, not to be worshipped, but to collaborate, I think is key. And I think it's going to be quite amazing. I really do. So I wondered, my lovely, if you would take us on a very special little treat with a centering relaxation journey to unfold the love within us all. Are you happy to do that?
I would do that for sure, yes.
I would absolutely love that. Thank you.
All
Everyone
right.
needs a cuppa now, or a sip of your cuppa. Have it now, because lovely Bruce is going to take us through a beautiful little exercise.
I should have actually had a cup of tea with me. I had a cacao before we came on here.
You need something.
Yes, I had one of them. So that was.
Do you need something now?
Oh, no, I'm good. I'm good. No, I'm
Okay.
good. We're good to go.
Thank you.
All right. So if you'd like to just close your eyes and just take a couple of really big, deep, refreshing breaths to completely let go of everything you've been up to today and what you've been planning and busy doing. Just breathe it out. Let it go. Let your shoulders melt into the frame of your body. Let your face become soft. Big, deep inhales. Big, deep exhales. Feeling your muscles letting go. And your mind letting go. And I want you to imagine that your body, the trunk of your body is kind of like the trunk of a tree. And that growing down from it, so through your legs and around your body, is this root system. These amazing roots, big, flexible network of strong roots that are growing down your legs and around you and into the earth, and they're starting to anchor you and ground you. Just imagine that these roots are growing down. You can even imagine, if you like, that your legs are growing down, that your toes are stretching down, your legs are growing, your feet are extending into the earth, and the roots beside them, and you're connecting with Mother Earth. You're feeling her and her energy, feeling yourself sinking in to nature, into Gaia, the sense of safety, our Earth Mother. Feeling that as your roots grow deeper and deeper through all the different layers of earth and crystal and rock and clay and all of that, that you're coming back to yourself. That if your mind has been scattered by thinking about this and that, everything's coming back to your body, your whole consciousness right back to here and now with your body, with the earth. Home, safe, provided for. And now your roots, they go down, down and down, and they meet with a beautiful vein, like a river underground, of this most gorgeous liquid gold running through the earth. It's the energy of pure joy and love, well-being, this beautiful liquid gold, or you could say like liquid light. Your roots are coming down and they're starting to enter into this river. And as they do, that beautiful liquid gold is coming up your root system, starting to slowly make its way all the way up to your feet. And you can breathe it up. Imagine you're breathing it up your roots. This liquid gold is filling all your roots, starting to come up into your feet, your legs. Starting to come all the way up, 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 into your hips, your buttocks, your pelvis. And as this liquid gold is starting to fill your body, it's bringing all of the balance, all of the nourishment and nurturing that every single cell of your body is wanting and needing. And this liquid gold is coming up from your hips, starting to come up your spine and into your tummy and up into your ribs. Breathe it up. Invite this beautiful healing energy up, up. Embrace it into your body. It's coming up higher now, right to the top of your ribs, starting to spread into your collarbones, your shoulders, and now it's pouring down your arms, each arm being filled with this beautiful liquid gold. It's going to pour out of your hands when it reaches them. Keep breathing it up. It's starting to come up, up, up now into your neck and all the way up into your head, into your brain, your scalp, your skull, your face. Beautiful liquid gold. breathing it up still. It's coming up, 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 all the way through, and then pouring out of the top of your head like a fountain, starting to trickle down all around you. And it's still coming in, flowing in, and then flowing out all around you. I want to just take a moment to really visualize this and feel this flow of love from the earth, this flow of joy, this flow of well-being coming into your body, pouring out the top of your head and just flowing back down into the earth. You're breathing it in and up through your body, breathing it out, letting it flow around you, back down into the earth, and how beautiful that feels. And all the while this is going on in your imagination, I want you to be aware of your heart. And feeling how grateful you are for our mother, the Mother Earth, and everything she provides for us. And thinking about the people in your life and just those certain people that you're just so grateful for. Just the little things they do make all the difference. Who are these people that you really appreciate? Thinking about them now. Your heart is starting to grow, and you might start to feel a little bit of a glow in there. At the same time as this beautiful liquid gold that's just doing its thing in the background. But your heart is starting to grow as you continue to think about just the little humble things in your life that you really appreciate. It can be everyday little things like the sunshine or the food in your cupboards, the little things, humble things. What do you appreciate? Your heart energy is just growing and growing. And your sense of this liquid gold moving through you is feeling even better and more beautiful the more open that your heart is. Breathing it through. Now I want you to think about any area in your life that you think needs a bit of a helping hand at the moment. Any area of your life that you'd like to pour light into. You'll know, it'll come straight to your mind right now. I want you to imagine you're putting up your hands and all this liquid gold coming out of your hands, you are pouring it now into that situation of your life which you want to help and upgrade and nurture and heal. Pour the liquid gold into that situation, creatively visualizing that. Imagining the characters in this situation are receiving the liquid gold. Imagine that somehow, in some creative way, this liquid gold is transforming beautifully this situation. And then giving gratitude to the divine, to whoever it is, what spiritual figure you like to address. Thank you for this situation being healed. Thank you for this blessing. Thank you for this transformation. I allow myself to receive it, and I'm so grateful for it. Thank you so much. Taking a moment to consider how absolutely connected you are to all of existence. And feeling the love pouring in for you from the high dimensions, from your guides, from the angels, if you like, from wherever you resonate with. It's coming in. Allow yourself to receive it. All right, so it's time to come back. So imagining now that the liquid gold has done its thing and your body is all upgraded, all loved, all nurtured, and all the cells have received a little something that they needed. Everything is refreshed and uplifted and renewed. Breathing into your body and just feeling the shift from focusing in this way. Feeling your feet on the floor, feeling your connection with Mother Earth. And just wiggling your toes and fingers and slowly bringing yourself back, taking your time to open your eyes when you're ready.
Bless you so much. That was just beautiful. I'm
Yeah.
still a little bit in that space, which is so lovely.
It is hard to come out of, isn't it, sometimes?
I know. One doesn't always want to come back so fast either. That was just beautiful. I loved the golden river of light. That's
So good, isn't it?
magical. Yes.
It is. It's such a beautiful visualization, and pouring it through your hands into whatever area is actually really, really powerful manifestation tool. Like I remember years ago doing it, pouring it into my internet banking. And imagining like my bank accounts being, all upgraded. Pretty sure it worked. I'm pretty sure I got an influx of abundance. I also imagined it at that time, many years ago, going into my backyard. I put it all around me in my room that I was in and the backyard and everything. And it was really beautiful. And the next day I went outside and all these leaves had fallen, golden leaves, onto the lawn in the backyard. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's just like the golden river that I was imagining. It was beautiful, but all synchronistic experience.
Yes, that's gorgeous. Oh, lovely. Is there anything else you would like to talk about before we finish? Anything
No,
else?
I think you've got it all out of me with all your questions. I think that there's nothing really left to say, really. I think it's all pretty much been said.
You've done it so beautifully, and I want to thank you so much for an amazing evening with such wise words.
Oh.
Just wise, wise words full of love and light and authenticity. Thank you so much. So
My
people
pleasure.
are wanting to find you and what you offer. Where do they go?
Well, you can go to my website, which is susansage.one. So www.susansage, all one word, .one.
So it's one letter or the word?
The word one. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's where you'll find all the link to you know, the links to everything really, and you can contact me from there, and all my stuff's on there pretty much. And if you're on Insight Timer, then you can find me on there as well. If you like Patreon, you can search my name, you'll find me in there. Either or, whatever platform suits, but those are my 3 kind of main portals of conversation, I suppose. Yeah. I suppose Facebook as well, but yeah.
Sure. It's been a beautiful evening. Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank you for
much.
having me. It's been really fun.
It has been fun.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. And remember, peace on earth. It starts with you. It starts with me. So God bless and good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Thank you.
Thank you.